recording it. All right.
And I've got, I don't know, Maya Frenda?
Oh yeah, great, Benita, share it.
I turned off my background so you could see. I don't know how good this will show up. I have my grandmother Hazel that I got to know, my grandmother Madeline that I did not get to meet, but has promised to have tea with me in the Summerland. My father, a good friend and teacher, several teachers, my best friend's daughter, Emily, who passed when she was 20. And several friends locally. Some friends may know Colleen Cook. She's on my altar. Henry's on my altar. Pat Watkins, Dennis Wynn, my mom's best friend, Jackie. And this was my cat of 18 years, Mari.
Oh, that's
So that's a quick tour of my Frenda.
great. Great. Yeah, I have, I don't know how to quickly turn off my background or not, so I'll just share my friend's baby. My friend's baby Elsie, who passed away, is here. And then I have my college dad, my friend's dad, Dan, I have here. And then I have some candles set up as well, which is lovely. All right, anyone else on here wanting to share before we get going with our official program? Oh, I see Al has a nice setup there. Thank you, Al.
Oh, sure. That's my son, Cole.
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
that's lovely.
The two little rocks are from rocks that he found in his way through life that had some power for him. He actually had quite an extensive collection of objects of power, which were handed out to anybody who wanted them as we celebrated his life after his passing.
That's great. That's great. Thank you, Al. Anyone else have someone to add or name here? We can also, we'll have time later to just add people to the chat. So if you later want to type people's name in a chat or anything like that, we'll have that. So
Anita had mentioned Colleen Cook, who died last year. However, her daughter, Kara, died just a short time ago, a few weeks back, and from complications of diabetes.
That's
But
really,
they are survived by Colleen's son and Kara's brother.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, a big, so we've got a program we're kicking off here, and a big thanks to Diane O'Donnell and Bonita for putting a lot of things together, and Howard and Conrad and other musicians. So there'll be, like I said, there'll be some time to share, but this is a program put together. So anything else you want to share, Diane, before we?
I want to just mention the unseen person who actually did filming and background music, horns, was Jim McCreary. So you won't see him in very many of the pictures, but he is definitely a presence.
Great. Sounds good. Thank you. All right, here we go.
Lord, I keep so busy praising my Jesus. Keep so busy praising my Jesus. Keep so busy praising my Jesus. Ain't got time to die. 'Cause when I heal the sin, I'm praising my Jesus. Oh, when I heal the sin, I'm praising my Jesus. Oh, when I heal the sin, I'm praising my Jesus. Ain't got time to die. 'Cause it takes all my time to praise my Jesus. All my time to praise my Lord. If I don't praise him, serving my master. Keep so busy serving my master. Ain't got time to die. 'Cause when I'm giving my all, when I'm giving my all, when I'm giving my all, master, ain't got time to die. 'Cause it takes all my time to praise my Jesus, all my time to praise my Lord. If I don't praise him, the rock's gonna cry out, glory and honor, glory and honor. Ain't got time to die. I want to get out of my way, my Jesus, out of my way. Praise my Lord. If I don't praise him, the rock's gonna cry out, glory and honor, glory and honor. Ain't got time to die.
Woohoo is right.
I'll tell you how I'm feeling, Lord, every day. I'll shake these bones and shout and sing my life away. I'll shake these bones and I will shout and sing my life away. It won't be long before these bones turn to clay. I'll tell you what I'm thinking, Lord, anytime. I'll tell you lies, I'll tell you dreams you won't mind. I'll tell you lies, I'll tell you dreams I know that you won't mind. There's something there that's out of reach, I will find. I'll tell you what I'm seeing, Lord, everywhere. It may be only a small part of what is there. It may be only a small part of what is really there. But I'll stumble like the blind man, Lord, without fear. I'll tell you what I'm hearing, Lord, all the time. I'm hearing songs and melodies in my mind. I'm hearing songs and melodies, but when they're out of mind, I'll hear the sweetest piece of all left behind. I'll show you how I'm living, Lord, every day. I may not fall down on my knees and start to pray. I may not fall down on my knees and worship you or pray. But there's reverence in my laughter, Lord, anyway. I'll show you who I'm loving, Lord, in the night. And when the door is open, Lord, and filled with light. And when the door is open, Lord, and filled with the morning light, we will hear the child that calls for us out of sight. I'll tell you who I'm loving, Lord, in the day. And to my fellow people, Lord, these words I'll say. And to all my fellow people, Lord, these loving words I'll say. And I'll shake these bones and shout and sing my life away. I'll show you how I'm feeling, Lord, any day. I'll shake these bones and shout and sing my life away. I'll shake these bones and I will shout and sing my life away. It won't be long before these bones turn to clay.
Okay, this is my Day of the Dead medley for you. Here's a collection of keepsakes that I've gathered together from people. We're going to begin with Liz Lowell. Before Liz took her life, in a sweet, bitter voice, she sang songs with a sharp, alert quickness, as if she were poised at the end of the sea. that arms reach from the sky, filled both with the courage to laugh and the wisdom to cry. She sailed to the cusp of the twilight where the waters were stirred, and her dream drove her on toward the sunset, toward the dawn, and she gazed till her vision was blurred at the edge of the world. Then we have Tom Manley. This is a picture of the moon that Tom Manley gave me. And the song is, of course, the Monarch Waltz. How did I not know how I would miss you when you're gone? How without your whisper everything's so strangely wrong. Now your voice is silent, but I still can hear your song. You're always there. And then I have a song about Ernie. It's Ernie's book. Ernie is an engineer, he makes things work. But now his study is human feelings. And now he stands at the gate of a new and uncharted place. He's not holding back, he's moving nextward, making one more journey into the dark, deep heart. And the backdrop of all of this is this nice blanket that Jerry Bretsky got me randomly for no particular reason before he knew me very well. Welcome, friend, to my short life. Take a minute, have a bite. Let's tell each other everything that we know. Never mind that grinning skull. I talk best when my mouth is full. Heaven, what you got in here when you go. And then we have Brian Peter. We have this pitch pipe. This is Brian Peterson's pitch pipe. And Diane Peterson, his wife, gave it to me, which makes it even more precious. And if my friend were here, then he would laugh. I can hear just how his laugh would feel, and I know just how his breath would sound. But he is dead, and we will be that much alone. And he will be this much with us. He will glow in us like autumn light. The autumn light burns my soul into the world. My thoughts go inside the hearts of things, and the dying feels like opening. Shalom.
Hey all, so maybe if you are new, haven't didn't come here right at the beginning today, today is celebrating All Saints Day, the Day of the Dead, Samhain, many different things this weekend that are honoring those who have passed on, who've honored the dead. And so many people collaborated in creating lots of good music for us to share in with each other. It's a time of meditation, a time of reflection, a time for giving thanks for those who have come before us. And now is the time, if you want to name someone in your life who has passed on, maybe this year, maybe a long time ago, you're welcome to unmute yourself and just name people now, or you can type it in the chat here if you'd like.
My dad, Jim Parker.
Jim Parker. And if you say it out loud, I'll still type it in the chat.
My
My
dad,
brother,
my dad, Emden Hessla.
my brother-in-law, Tom Bonds.
My Grammy and granddaughter.
My mother, Jean Marbricker.
Jerry Bretsky, of course, and my mama, Dorothy Louise Pozimbo Cravens.
Most recently, my sister Judy and my cousin Natalie. And then, of course, many others.
Or Emily. Lost your sister. Oops.
My mother and father, Arlene.
My brother Henry, who no doubt is just shattered that he's unable to vote to re-elect the president.
Ain't that a fact?
My good friend Steve Bruggeman, who died of a heart attack 10 years ago.
My dad, David, that died when I was 13.
My mother, my father, my sister. My Aunt Katie.
I see a few people typing: Roberta Hodges, Kitty Coulivar, Robert Holmes, Helen West, Roddy West, Hobbs, Tom Judge, Tom Manley, Ernie Gunderson, Dennis Wynn, Emily, Val, Jackie, Colleen, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, Elaine, Seth Garwood,
Ruth Hograby.
Ruth Hograby,
Kitty Coulivar.
Henry and Pat Watkins.
lift up my grandpa, Mike.
Roberta.
Roberta, Nancy, Reno, Phyllis, Willis.
Our niece Amanda.
My mother, Marcella Ruth Brown Hildenbrand, and my father before her, Ronald Arthur, and one that sparked my imagination profoundly in my 30s, my great-great-grandfather, whose name I did not know until then, Isaac Newton Hildenbrand.
My grandma and grandpa Ruth and Peter Larson, and my grandma and grandpa Inman and Agnes Hessla.
Whenever it seems right, Benita, you're welcome to lead us in Gather Around Us, or sing Gather Around Us.
Yeah, I can do it live. I wasn't sure if you were using the video. Okay. Gather round us, ones we love. We can feel your presence here. You are in the stars above. You are in the turn of year. You are in the fallen leaves. You are in the ground below. We remember who you are. We call your name and let you go. Blessed be.
Blessed be. So maybe I'll do, now I'm gonna, we'll do a slideshow of some people who were killed this year, and then maybe after that, we could do the We Remember song. Benita, does that sound good? So I was given a list of people who have died this year. Specifically, this is a year where we're very aware of African-American people who were killed by police this year. I know this has been and something that has happened for a long time. This is not something that's just new this year, but because of George Floyd being killed in our neighborhood, there's been an extra focus. And so we put together, Diane did some work and some research, and it's good for us to pay attention and be aware that there are a lot more people who were killed by police this year than just George Floyd. So if you want to take a little bit of time, I have a slideshow put together listing the names here, and you can watch and pray or meditate on these people's families, pray and meditate on the injustices and the brokenness of our systems, of rehabilitation or or retribution, the injustices built within our societal structures, within policing, with the ways we have and interact with race and difference in our country. So as this plays, these are things we can be thinking about. And then Bonita will lead us in singing We Remember. Davian Daniels, 30 years old. Jonathan Price, 31. Tatiana Jefferson, 28. Michael Dean, 28. John Neville, 56. William Green, 23. Jackin O'Neill Light, 20. Lionel Morris, 39. Ahmad Albury, 25. Manuel Ellis, 33. Barry Geddes, 21. Daniel Prude, 30. Anthony McLean, 32. Stephen Taylor, 33. Tony McDade, 38. Cornelius Fredericks, 16. George Floyd, 46. Maurice Abestud Wagner, 30. James Scurlock, 22. Breonna Taylor, 26. Rayshard Brooks, 21. Maurice Gordon, 28. Calvin Horton, Jr., 43. Jamel Floyd, 35. Robert Forbes, 56. Priscilla Slater, 38. Kamal Flowers, 24. David McCaddy, 53. Julian Lewis, 60. Dejan Keatsy, 29. Dion Johnson, 28. Darius Tarver, 23. Micah Lee, 18. Yeah, go for it, Bonita.
And you're welcome to call out names as I sing, and I'll sing for a while until people have a chance to call out the names they wish. I know we can't put flowers on the skeleton this year, so I've got flowers. All right. We remember, we remember, we remember. 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 Blessed are those who have loved us beyond all reason and who have passed beyond the veil. Blessed be.
Blessed be. Thank you, Benita. Thank you for sharing all these names. It's wonderful to see just how interconnected all of our worlds and all of our lives are. Before I read this poem, I just have had a story on my heart the last few weeks that I heard, and I just wanted to share it, especially since your beautiful bones ritual that you usually do is not available to us as a community this year. I was recently having a conversation when my friend's baby Elsie died. We had a memorial service for her, and a couple of us afterwards, have been pretty careful with COVID in general, so we hadn't done anything inside together. But after such a big, heavy day, we decided to just get lunch after the service, a couple of us. And so we picked up some lunch and brought it over to my friend Nicole's house. And naturally, after often happens with the funeral, we were talking about death, and a lot of us in the room have some interesting things to talk about with death. My friend Kylie works in mortuary services at the Mayo Clinic. So she works pretty much exclusively in the world of death. And then I was a pastor in Rochester, and I'm a pastor. So I often encounter death through funerals and illness and visiting people in the hospital and things like that. Sometimes when I was in Rochester, I would be dealing with the funeral end of something, and Kylie would be the one dealing with the body of someone afterwards. So it was this weird full circle thing. And we were talking, and a couple of my friends who were hosting us are a multi-ethnic couple. One, her family is Cameroonian and Indian, and her husband Seth is half Japanese. And he was sharing about how when he had heard about this ritual in Japan, he was not able to go to Japan when his grandfather died, but he heard about this ritual that came to be, that is a Japanese practice from Japan. And then when his grandmother died, he did, or maybe it switched, I can't remember. One of the grandparents, I actually think he went over when his grandfather died because I knew him when that happened. So he went over to Japan. It just so happened to be kind of within this month or two of when his wife, Nicole's grandfather, died. And I'll tell you what, being a multi-ethnic international couple when multiple of your grandparents are dying is very expensive. She had to go to Cameroon with her family and have and bring the body back to their ancestral tribe lands. And the next month, Seth had to fly to Japan. So sometimes you count your blessings for the days when you just drive to Iowa for a funeral, right? So, so Seth got over to Japan and was mentally prepared, but I don't know if you ever could be fully mentally prepared for the practice, which was that they have a tea ceremony around the body of your beloved. So Seth and his family went to this room that was sort of maybe in like the mortuary area, and the body was clean and you know, covered but present. And the family gathers around the body, says some words, and then they said some words of goodbye, and then they go upstairs and the family has tea while the body is cremated. So the body is cremated, and most of what you get when a body is cremated is all of our, you know, proteins and parts of our body that are a little bit more squishy. But then what's left behind is the bones. And so when the tea is finished and the body has been cremated, the family goes back down and on the same table, as if the skeleton of your ancestor just decided to kind of do a little dance and shake off their skin. The skeleton is just lying there perfectly still.
You could buy online at Discount Tire. Book your appointment, get expedited check-in, and be placed at the front of the line when you get to the store.
Okay. I'll just make sure that all of you are on mute really quick.
Sorry.
That's okay. So that's just our spooky ghost. It's just our spooky ghost that decided to chime in for our full moon weekend. So the skeleton is lying there. You can see some fun skeletons right behind me. It's on theme. So you go down to, as a family again, you've already said goodbye to the body that looked the way that it used to. Now you've got the bones. And so the family then works together and they're handed something kind of chopstick-like, maybe a little bit like pliers-y, like the advice is make sure you go for the lighter ones so that you don't do something embarrassing. And the family together, bit by bit, picks up the bones and puts them with the rest of the body. So maybe you're like me, and when you first hear this, you're a little bit horrified. Like you look at your spouse or your parents or your whoever, and you're like, I am not sure I'm ready to see everything underneath that. Like maybe I'm not sure I'm ready to actually see your bones. But the more we talked about it, the more I think about it. And something that I love about the way you all are practicing, the way we're practicing this All Saints Day of the Dead weekend, is that there's something very intimate and beautiful when you practice not being afraid of death and suffering and loss. And that the more that we approach the loss, the closer we get to the loss, sometimes there's even something more beautiful than we ever could have imagined. I definitely think that that idea that when you're passing on to the other side, to know and trust that your body is going to be so lovingly taken care of by all the people you loved so deeply in life. There's something very beautiful and full circle about that practice. So I just wanted to share that, and I hope that we can all be grateful for these times that can be a little scary and a little spooky, but ultimately I think are really beautiful. This is Blessing, Benacht by John O'Donohue. On the day when the weight deadens on your shoulders and you stumble, may the clay dance to balance you. And when your eyes freeze behind the gray window and the ghost of loss gets into you, may a flock of colors, indigo, red, green, and azure blue, come to awaken in you a meadow of delight. When the canvas frays in the currach of thought and a stain of ocean blackens beneath you, may there come across the waters a path of yellow moonlight to bring you safely home. May the nourishment of the earth be yours. May the clarity of light be yours. May the fluency of the ocean be yours. May the protection of the ancestors be yours. And so may a slow wind work these words of love around you, an invisible cloak to mind your life.
That was our old friend Peter Daniels Doolin singing with Diane there.
Yeah, we've done that song before. It's a good standby. Now, if you have a glass of juice or wine or whatever your favorite drink is, Time to raise it. To live in the hearts they left behind is not to die. As long as we live, they too will live, for they are now part of us as we remember them. What is remembered lives. Repeat. What is remembered lives.
It's remembered,
What is
lived.
remembered lives. Shalom.
Shalom. Thank you. Thank you all. Well, that concludes our formal Day of the Dead work. Maybe, is there anything else you'd want to do for an ending, Diane?
No, that was it. Shalom.
Shalom and peace to you all. So you're welcome to hang and chat or share any reflections you have.
Hi, everybody. Alan here, newer member. I wanted to share a reflection I was having about the bones. For many of us, life, the skin, the expressions, the hair was not always good, was not always pleasant. But being able to honor the bones is about, just like those bones shed those parts of that person that may not have been the most functional, or at least on the outward appearance, loving. What is left is the bones, and they return to the earth and to the elements. And it allows us to recognize that so we can strip those feelings away from our own hearts, where trauma may have been caused or hard feelings, and allow us to love the bones, because in the end, that's what we're all made of. Thank you.
Thank you, Ellen. Anyone else have some reflections or something they want to share? Rhonda, do you have something?
I do. I'm sorry, I should have brought this up earlier. I was just trying to get organized. Some of you have known that I've been in South Dakota since the 21st of October. We were preparing for and then got to celebrate my mother's 80th birthday. And I had planned, because I work remotely now because of COVID, to stay for a week or so to just, I don't know, spend some time with her. And then unfortunately on Thursday afternoon, when I was in a conference call, she fell in her bathroom doing her usual routine and broke her hip. And so she had surgery on Friday in Mitchell, which is about an hour south of Huron. And she came through the surgery very well. She's always had a pretty strong reaction to anesthesia and painkillers, and coupled with her Parkinson's, she's struggling with the confusion and the anxiety that comes from that part of the recovery. So if people could just be thinking about her a little bit, that would be fantastic. We'll find out tomorrow, we being my brother and I and my mom, what the aftercare possibilities will be. Super not thrilled with the idea of her going to any number of small town South Dakota care facilities that may have a bed open, otherwise to her known as nursing home jail, especially with COVID. And so we are exploring some possibilities of me taking some FMLA from my job and using home health care with her here in her apartment, and just some different avenues as well. My mother's an extreme social butterfly and organizer, and to be shut down in nursing home / COVID jail is not going to help her mental and emotional recovery at all. So any good thoughts you have would be greatly appreciated.
What is your mother's name? I will pray for
Dorothy.
her.
Dorothy.
Thank you for sharing that, Rhonda. That sounds like a lot that you've been working through, and I'm glad that you are trying to keep a good balance in what you're doing and being able to be helpful and do what's most important. And yeah, takes courage and it's hard. I'm glad you're doing that.
Thank you.
I'd like to put in a thought for, you talked about modeling not being afraid of death. And I want to put in a word for those of us who are afraid of death. And then sometimes it's good to dwell in the fear, because I'm not entirely okay with it. Just wanted to say that.
Thank you. Yes. And by, yes, I definitely think that to encounter and to grow and to approach death, I would think maybe, yeah, it's not about not having fear, but it's about the willingness to do that even in your fear, for sure. I think there are gifts to be found, even in discomfort and uncomfortable, painful conversations and topics. Thanks for that, Howard.
I don't know how many people are familiar with Bare Bones, the Halloween pageant that goes on down by Hidden Falls. They're doing it differently this year, but I went down to Hidden Falls yesterday. There's a tree there where they put up what they call a Hungry Ghost altar for all the beloved dead. And there were still stones around the tree with people's names and some photos. People have been busy at the tree, even if Bare Bones isn't meeting there this year. And I sang the Gather Round song at the tree. There's also another short thing that they always end every ceremony with. And it's just, when we are gone, they shall remain, the wind and rock, the fire and rain. When we remain, they shall return, the wind will blow and the fire will burn.
Thank you, Benita. That's lovely. I have heard that too, that there's some various art installations around town that is taking the place of Bare Bones. So be sure to check that out, probably on their website and things.
Yeah, I think that's going through at least the 3rd or the 5th. So you still have a few days to check it out, and then it'll be online, I think, as an online way to go through it.
Great. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, I'll put the website on here. Well, thank you all for participating. May you be filled with peace on this New Year day, and may you go into this week knowing that you are loved and cared for, and you stand on the shoulders of a great many lovely people. So, peace and blessings to all of you. Take care.
Blessed be. Blessed be. Blessed be and blessed sound to everybody.